What if the answer to one of the most common and, let's be honest, most frustrating problems in a relationship was actually surprisingly simple, something we tend to overlook all the time? Well, I've been looking into this, and the answer is really not what you'd expect. So get this. This is a quote from a guy who felt like he'd finally cracked the code. And no, it wasn't about some secret technique or some kind of manipulation. It was about him realizing he was unintentionally doing things that were just shutting down the very connection his wife needed to even feel desire. The real work, it turns out, wasn't about trying harder to initiate things. It was about stopping the little unintentional things that were slowly chipping away at the foundation of their entire relationship. It was all about creating an atmosphere of safety and trust. And that right there, that's the question that changes everything. What if this issue that we call low libido isn't the real problem at all? What if it's actually just a symptom of something way deeper? A signal that the emotional safety you need for real intimacy just isn't there anymore. And that brings us right to the core of it. We have to completely reframe how we think about what actually drives desire in a long-term, committed relationship. So often, we see a struggling sex life as the problem that needs to be fixed, but that's looking at it completely backwards. See, a healthy sex life isn't the solution, it's the result. It's the natural overflow from a connection that's already strong, intimate, and secure. The real problem is a broken foundation. So what is this foundation made of? Well, it's built on these huge pillars, things like mutual respect, real sacrifice for each other, and that all-important sense of emotional safety. Sex just becomes a natural expression of the connection and trust that you've already built. You can't fix the overflow if the source is dry. Now, a really critical piece of this puzzle is understanding desire itself. We tend to think about desire as this spontaneous thing, right? The kind you see in movies that just hits you out of the blue. But for so many people, especially women, desire is primarily responsive. It doesn't just show up. It has to be cultivated. It grows in response to feeling safe and connected and cherished. So if responsive desire needs the right environment to flourish, what are the things that just kill it? Let's take a look at the common factors that slowly poison the well and block desire from ever taking root in the first place. Each one of these is like a giant roadblock. Feeling disconnected, having those same fights over and over, they create a distance that intimacy just can't cross. And pressure or obligation, forget it. But look at that one, entitlement. That feeling that you are owed physical intimacy. That is one of the absolute fastest ways to destroy it completely. And we have to talk about the mental load. This is all the invisible, exhausting work of just running a household. When one partner is carrying the weight of all these tabs open in their brain all the time, it is incredibly hard to just switch from being a logistics manager to a relaxed, playful partner. This quote just captures the whole idea so perfectly. Nurturing responsive desire isn't about what you do in the 10 minutes before you go to sleep. It's about all the tiny moments of kindness and support and just simple consideration that happen all day long. That's what builds the connection. Okay, so we've identified the problem. We see what's blocking the connection. So how do we actually fix it? Let's get into a real practical guide for rebuilding that foundation. Now, these steps might sound totally backwards, but they are so powerful. Look at number 1. Take sex off the table. Why? Because by removing all the pressure and obligation, you finally create the space to just focus on pure connection again. From there, you can rebuild with things like non-sexual touch, real conversation, and just being true teammates in everything you do. This is so important. Saying I love you is, of course, wonderful, but asking how are we? That's an invitation. It creates a space for real honesty. It says, I care about the health of this thing we've built, and I'm a safe place for you to tell me the truth, even if it's hard to hear. So just take a second and think about it. When was the last time you really dug a little deeper? When did you ask about your partner's inner world, beyond just the logistics of the day-to-day? Questions like these are the real building blocks of intimacy. They show you actually want to understand your partner's true experience. I mean, think about the courage it takes to ask, when did you last feel distant from me? And then to really be ready to listen to the answer. That shows you're willing to work on what truly matters. Now, it's also really crucial to understand that desire is complex. It isn't always just about the dynamic in the relationship. So let's zoom out a little and acknowledge the other factors that can play a really big role. Things like mental health struggles, concerns about body image, past trauma, huge hormonal shifts, all of these can have a profound impact on a person's desire. And these are not things to be fixed by a partner. They're realities that require empathy, patience, and just unwavering support. And that brings us to the most loving and honestly the most effective thing a partner can do. When these other factors are in play, your job isn't to be a problem solver or another source of pressure. Your role is simply to be a safe harbor, a place of total acceptance and understanding. After looking at all of this, the foundation, the blockers, the solutions, what is the single most important thing to take away from all of this? What's the bottom line? It's this simple truth, but it is the entire key. If you want more physical closeness, you have to build more emotional closeness first. Create that foundation of safety, of trust, of deep connection. The body will follow where the heart feels safe. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. It's not about some grand, dramatic gesture. It's about one small, meaningful step. What is one thing you can do today to make your partner feel seen and heard and emotionally safe with you? Because that is where it all begins.